Shinorubi, shooter, shooter. Shinorubi, shooter, shooter. Shooting, shooting, always fun. It's always fun for me, yeah. Shinorubi, shooter, shooter. Shinorubi, Shinorubi, shooter. So, guess what I'm eating for breakfast? All those pellets in this game that look like cereal. And everything's shiny in this game, and this is Shinorubi. I think you pronounce it that way, but it worked for my intro, so we're just gonna roll with it and wine and dine on cereal and something, milk, I guess. So, anyways, it's a top-down 2D flight shoot 'em up, inspired by, like, I think it's Dekumunes or Dekumarus. They're classic, like, Japanese shoot 'em ups in arcades. I don't know if it's from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, maybe related to Cave and all their classic shooters. But this game only just came out in the last 2-3 years. I thought it was brand new. Maybe it was just brand new to Steam, because it came out on PlayStation 4, 5, Switch, and some other stuff. So, anyways, the story isn't necessary. I jumped into this. I think they started explaining the story, and I was trying to turn the page, and I guess I just turned the page to the whole book, and it went to the menu. So I missed the whole story, but then I went back after playing this game to figure it out. And the story is really not necessary. The planet families are all fighting each other. I think they all live on the same planet, and they're looking for this RR substance. They never really explain what it is, other than its benefits, which give people infinite power, longevity, and so much. This is like the basis of Dune, which is kind of funny that I chose this game, I don't know, a month or two ago, not even realizing, hey, Dune's coming out, you know, the Dune connection's there. That is the story of Dune 1 and 2. I guess light spoiler there. I think they mention it right at the beginning of the first movie, so don't worry. So anyways, just a weird coincidence I realized today. So there's frantic action, over-the-top, bombastic, electronic, guitar-driven music, and super colorful and large arcade-like graphics. And you don't really see that so much anymore, probably because you don't see a lot of arcade games coming out anymore, because the arcades have kind of moved on in North America overall. There's the occasional game. So, hard to say whether I love the graphics or soundtrack more. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I loved it. I'm a sucker for these, you know, guitar-driven electronic soundtracks. Devil May Cry, Gungrave Gore, I can't even think of all of them, but those soundtracks that I can't think of, they're good, and I like them. And this game is that polished, it's that hard to choose one or the other. So the gameplay's interesting, but I didn't even realize, like, only the center of your craft is vulnerable. So if I knew that, maybe it would have made it a little bit easier. But this game's not super hard when you play on normal. They give you like 99 credits, and there's not a lot of levels in this game. So, yeah. So protect that part of your ship at all costs. It kind of looks like, which leads to my next point. It kind of looks like the ships from F-Zero, the hovercrafts. I'm not sure if that's their actual names, I don't remember. It's been so long since the F-Zero game, guys, so it really reminds me, this game, of a mashup between F-Zero and Jet Set Radio with the classic shoot 'em up genres, like the graphics of Jet Set Radio, just the style, the bright colors and everything, and just like the music of F-Zero. Yeah, it even sounds like it could have been rejected music for F-Zero GX, which came out in 2003, which is 21 years ago, which is just mind-blowing to think that it's been that long since a F-Zero game in the main series that's not like a slight hack of a previous one, or even an F-Zero title from 2024. Fingers crossed, hopefully we get a Switch too. So characters all inside these space vehicles that resemble F-Zero hovercraft. They're mostly aliens or robots, so like it's kind of, I don't know, it seems pretty blatant to me that this is what they were going for. So enormous explosions, enemies, and big bosses. The game's quite generous with continues, as I said, easier difficulties. I can imagine the challenge is going to be on hard and super hard, and I think super hard's the hardest. So that's for the hardcore of the hardcore people. It's a really easy to pick up. I got to the end of the first stage. I accidentally didn't continue. I backed out. There's only 5 stages, so that's what I was heading, sort of leading towards. So only 5 levels, 5 difficulty levels, yeah, and 5 plus characters, unless there's unlockables I didn't see. The game is quite short in that sense, so the visual design is dazzling, but unfortunately there's also a con to that, because there's large enemies, large metals, large explosions, power-ups, and the bigger your screen is, the harder it is to keep track of everything. Like, this is Beautiful Joe. I didn't bring it up before and I didn't write in my notes, but as soon as I saw like all this chaos going on the screen, I was like, this is Beautiful Joe, the shoot 'em up, which maybe we'll get in like 2052 and February 2052. But yeah, just there's little detail that will help you, like outlines. Like, that's what I came up with. This game needs outlines for the ships, and see where the enemies are. The bullets, you don't really need so much. Like, it's kind of a cheat mode, so there's some shoot 'em ups in the past that have done this. I think, again, cave games have had this kind of shoot 'em up cheat. It's not really a cheat, but it's sort of like a helping guidance system, heads-up display almost, visual heads-up. So I think that would be really important. I looked for the menu. I didn't look as hard through everything, but I didn't see that option. I think that would really fix a lot of the problems with this game, just because you can't see, like, oh, this is where my ship is, this is where the, you know, the other ships are coming in fast too, because it's an action arcade shoot 'em up. And yeah, like, there's large enemies, metals, power-ups, exciting character art, but then you realize, like, there's so little detail between the ships and the background. It all looks fantastic, it all looks very shiny, nice, like it, but just the lack of clarity makes it really hard to distinguish between your ship from the background, the bullets coming at you. The bullets aren't actually that bad. It's just, if you had an outline, it would so improve it. And I don't think it would even be hard for them to do, because, like, all the enemies are coded a certain way. You're coded probably differently. So just be like, oh, just put like a silly outline. Easy. I think it would be super easy for them to do, and like, it would just make this game go the extra mile, extra 50 miles or 1,000 miles per hour, just like F-Zero. And yeah, the explosions also seem to need to stand out more. I don't know about outlines, because that would just make the game look like really cheesy and cheap. But for the ships, for sure, need some sort of outline. I just feel like this game is unfortunately one of those games that would be a home run across the board. It's so close, in my opinion. Some people trashed it, some people still love it. I just feel it's so close to being polished to the point that this is top 5, top 15 maybe shooters on Steam at least. Maybe not all time, but yeah, just like a little bit further tweaking, better way to see the outline of other ships, for sure. Price is $28.99, which is pretty fair, but the game's short. I would buy this game just to support the developers. It's very clear that there's a lot of love that's gone into this game, a lot of passion. The characters design in the menus, they're amazing. I could never draw like that, and I doubt many people could either, but it's just so polished that, like, honestly, like, Nintendo should just hand the reign to F-Zero to these guys. Like, at this point, they did such a good job with this shooter. And as long as Nintendo's like, I can't see what the heck's going on, you need to add outlines or something to, like, an F-Zero game, you know, then these guys would probably kick it out of the park, just like Sega did when Sega got in charge, I think with Amusement Vision for the last F-Zero. So honestly, that would be a great idea. I didn't think of that at the time. But yeah, just the love that emanates from this game pours all over. It's infectious, despite the game's current flaws. I would bite the bullet and warn you, this game is beautiful, flawed. It's an even more polished version than TMT, Kenobi's version of TMT from 2003 again, I think it was, when they made it 3D, but then the controls were clunky and the levels were kind of like, okay. But that game was less polished. This is so much closer to being like a classic with just a few extra options. I would say this is a solid 8.5. Some people trashed it as like almost unplayable, and I feel like that's what a lot of reviewers do these days. But that's totally untrue. If you can ignore the game's short length, lack of spatial visualness for you and your enemies. There's a lot of side modes. I guess I forgot to mention boss rush mode, fever mode, other ones like that will hover your vehicle. So there's stuff to do after you've beaten the game. I don't know if there's any hidden away content. I don't think so. But yeah, if you can't forgive the graphics, I don't know. You can sort of get an idea what's going on. It's not impossible. Then the way that the graphics mesh together and blob together, I would say this is a 5 or 6 probably for you if you can't forgive it. 8.5 for me. It's probably my favorite game this week by far. Keep on Shinorubiing your life and keep on gaming. Ciao.